My sister gave up everything to travel. Now she's broke, and my parents want me to fix it. But I played my own game. It always starts with a phone call, the kind where you know, from the moment you see the name, that nothing good is on the other side. This one was from my mom, Sunday night, right after dinner. I was still finishing a glass of wine and watching something brainless on Netflix when she called. Voice loaded with that fake everything's fine tone she only uses when things are absolutely not fine. "Honey, do you have a second to talk about your sister?" Oh boy, here we go. For context, my sister, let's call her Julianne, is 35, married, and has 2 kids, a boy and a girl, both under 10. She used to have a decent life, good job, nice house in the suburbs, the whole Pinterest board aesthetic. Then one day, out of nowhere, she and her husband decided they were tired of being tied down. They quit their jobs, sold their house, and started posting YouTube videos about slow traveling and embracing the minimalist lifestyle. Minimalist, huh? That's what they're calling it now? I called it blowing your life up with no parachute. They cashed out the equity on the house, bought one-way tickets to Bali, and told the world they'd figure it out on the road. That was 2 years ago. Since then, it's been Instagram reels of ocean views and airy cafes and their kids meditating with goats or whatever the hell. Meanwhile, I'm still here, holding a real job, paying real bills, living in a 3-bedroom home I actually worked for. And then tonight, my mom drops the bomb. So, Julianne's money ran out, and they're flying back next week. They have nowhere to stay. Okay, that sucks. But also, not my problem. Then she says it. "We think it makes the most sense for them to stay with you. You've got the space." I laughed, out loud, not a chuckle. A real laugh, because of course it makes the most sense. Of course I'm the backup plan. I always have been. What followed was 20 minutes of emotional blackmail. Family supports each other. Think of the kids. It'll only be temporary. I told her I'd think about it, but I wasn't going to think, because I already knew my answer. No. Not because I hate my sister, not because I'm cold or selfish, but because I've spent my whole life being the stable one, the responsible one, the safety net. And this time, I'm cutting the damn net. But not before I make one move they'll never see coming. Julianne landed 3 days later, fresh off a 14-hour flight from Lisbon. She texted me a selfie in the airport, smiling like she was coming back from a 2-week vacation, instead of returning from her spontaneous life implosion. The caption? "Back in the land of Walmart and iced coffee. Miss me yet?" I stared at it for a full 30 seconds before tossing my phone on the couch. She didn't say, "Hey, can we talk?" She didn't say, "I know this is a lot." She didn't even say, "We need help." Nope, just vibes and delusion. My mom called again that night, again with the guilt. "Sweetheart, you know Julianne's been through a lot. That kind of lifestyle isn't as easy as it looks." Yeah, no shit. That's why most people don't do it with 2 kids and 0 fallback plan. I asked her point blank if Julianne had even applied for a job yet. Silence, then a sigh. Then, "Well, they've only just landed." Cool. So no plan, no money, no job, no apartment, just a carry-on full of linen pants and $9 essential oils. My dad joined the call that time. He doesn't usually get involved, but apparently this situation called for some paternal pressure. "She's your sister. You have space. You don't even use that 3rd bedroom, right? I don't use it. You know why? Because I worked for it. That's my office/me time cave, the only peaceful square footage I've got. And now I'm expected to turn it into a daycare." They kept pushing, saying it was only for a month, saying the kids needed stability, that Julianne was ashamed and just needs time to get back on her feet. Meanwhile, Julianne? Not a single word, no apology, no request, no acknowledgement that she'd turned herself into a charity case and handed me the collection plate. So I made a move. I typed up a fake Craigslist ad, something like 3BR house for rent, fully occupied, family of 4 already living here. I posted it under my address. It's not a legal block or anything, but it sends a message. I even emailed it to myself and accidentally CC'd my parents and Julianne. Then I muted the group chat and poured a glass of wine. Call it petty. Call it theatrical. I call it preemptive war. They thought I'd fold, that I'd fall into line like always. But they forgot one thing. I'm not her safety net anymore. The thing about people like Julianne, they don't hear the word no. They hear not yet, or try harder, or you'll wear them down eventually. So when she showed up at my front door, 2 kids in tow, a man bun-wearing husband standing awkwardly behind her like a used car salesman, I wasn't even surprised. What did surprise me was the attitude. "Hey sis," she chirped, sunglasses on top of her head like we were headed to brunch instead of about to argue in a doorway. "Hope it's cool we came by a little early. We figured we could just crash here tonight, regroup a little, then figure things out." She didn't wait for me to say yes. She just started walking in. I stepped right in front of her and said, "No." And I swear to God, the look on her face was like I'd slapped her. As if the idea that I wouldn't just open my arms and say welcome home had never occurred to her. Not once. Not even in the fantasy version of this reunion she'd clearly played out in her head. "What do you mean, no?" She laughed like it was a joke. "We just need a few days. We're exhausted. I thought Mom talked to you." I cut her off. She did, and I said no then too. Behind her, her husband looked down at the sidewalk. One of the kids asked for juice. The other started crying. And for a second, I swear I almost caved. But then I looked at Julianne again, and all I could see was entitlement wrapped in beachy vibes and Instagram filters. The kind of person who thinks consequences are optional. That because she once watched my hamster for a weekend in 2004, I owe her a place to live now. I told her calmly that I wished them the best, that there were plenty of resources they could look into, that I could send over a few apartment listings, but they were not staying with me. Her face cracked. "Unbelievable," she muttered. "You'd let us be homeless?" I didn't even flinch. "You made yourselves homeless. I'm not bailing you out just because you thought Bali would pay your mortgage forever." That was when she stormed off. Kids in tow. Husband saying nothing. 5 minutes later, the group chat exploded. My mom, my dad, even an aunt I hadn't spoken to in years chimed in with something about family loyalty. You know what I did? I posted a photo of my front door. Closed, locked, peaceful. Caption, boundaries. Highly recommend. I swear my family should have gone into theater. The drama that exploded after Julianne's little visit was Oscar-worthy. It started that night with a group text from my mom. "Mom, we raised you better than this." Cool. Passive-aggressive opener. Followed by, "Your sister is going through a very hard time, and you just slammed the door in her face? This is not how family treats each other." Then my dad jumped in with his usual brand of guilt in a suit. "Dad, I understand you're trying to make a point, but those are children. Your niece and nephew are innocent in all this." Then came the extended family, like roaches crawling out of the baseboards. My mom had clearly made a few phone calls to rally the troops. Aunt Cheryl texted me directly, "Your parents are heartbroken. Just let her stay until she gets back on her feet." Uncle Mike added, "This is not the time to hold a grudge. She's family." And of course, Julianne herself. "I don't know what I did to deserve this. I've always supported you." Yeah. She supported me by borrowing my clothes and never returning them, stealing my birthday money when we were teens, and making me the villain every time I said no to her Fantasyland ideas. I didn't reply to any of them, because none of them knew what I'd already done. See, here's what they didn't know. I already helped, just not in the way they wanted. 2 days before Julianne came back, I'd emailed a local nonprofit that helps families in transition, temporary housing, food assistance, job search help. I explained her situation anonymously. They got back to me within 24 hours with real solutions. A community center had a 2-bedroom apartment opening up for transitional housing. No cost, just a 6-month agreement while the family gets back on their feet. I passed that info to Julianne. She ignored it. Didn't even say thanks. Because it wasn't what she wanted. She wanted my house, my couch, my fridge, my Wi-Fi. She didn't want a solution. She wanted a soft landing. She wanted to crash here so she could keep pretending her choices didn't come with consequences. But I'm not her safety net. And you know what? That doesn't make me cruel. That makes me clear. So I sent one final message to the group chat. I already helped. I found them housing. I did the thing you all are too afraid to do. I gave her a path forward that doesn't involve leeching off people who've been working their asses off to stay afloat. If that makes me the villain, fine. I'll be the villain with a locked door and a clear conscience. Then I left the group. Let them stew. It took exactly 10 days. 10 days of radio silence, 10 days of awkward texts from extended family asking if Julianne could borrow money or just stay one night if things got worse. 10 days of my mom sending me passive-aggressive emojis like a frowny face somehow proves her point. And then, on day 10, she called me. Not my mom, not my dad, Julianne. Her voice was different this time. Not peppy, not sarcastic, not even bitter. Just tired, hollow. Like someone who finally figured out there wasn't a cheat code for life. Hey, I just wanted to say, I got the email you sent, the one with the nonprofit info. They took us in. Silence. It's not glamorous, it's definitely not Bali, but we have beds and a fridge and the kids are in school again. It's not pretty, but it's something. I didn't say anything for a second. I didn't know if I was more shocked that she used the word thank you or that she sounded genuine. It was probably the first real thing she'd said to me in years. Then she added, I'm sorry for assuming, for showing up with nothing and expecting you to clean it up. I just didn't know what else to do. That's when it hit me. She really didn't know. She had no idea how to struggle without a parachute because she'd never been allowed to fall before. My parents had always caught her, smoothed things over, handed her plan B, C, and D like it was their job. This was her first time hitting the floor. I told her I appreciated the apology, and I meant it. But I also told her that nothing had changed about my boundaries. I love you, I said. But loving you doesn't mean letting you drag me down with you. And you know what she said? Yeah, I get that now. No dramatics, no begging, just acceptance. She said she was applying for jobs, that her husband had picked up a gig doing drywall, that they were sharing one car, that they had a 6-month deadline to get out of transitional housing. And for the first time since she landed back in town, she sounded like someone who wanted to do the work, like someone who realized that freedom doesn't mean ditching responsibility, it means building your own life, brick by painful brick. When we hung up, I didn't cry. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt peaceful. And that's when I realized I didn't need to be her net. I just needed to be her mirror, the one that finally reflected the truth she'd been avoiding for years. I knew it was coming. After Julianne called me with something resembling humility, it was only a matter of time before my parents wanted their moment, to discuss everything. And sure enough, Sunday afternoon came with a knock at my door. And there they were. Mom in her usual floral gilt cardigan, Dad with that face like he's about to give a TED Talk on family values. They didn't even wait for me to offer them a seat. We're not here to fight, my mom said, like that cleared her of all the judgment she'd been text-slinging for 2 weeks straight. We just want to talk about what happened and where we go from here. I nodded, sat on the edge of the armchair like a coiled spring. They launched into it. We felt blindsided. You've always been the reliable one. Your sister was desperate. Family is supposed to come through. That last one got me. So I finally spoke up. You say family's supposed to come through, but when has anyone ever come through for me? Silence. I laid it all out. Every holiday where I was the one cleaning up after Julianne's kids while she got tipsy in the kitchen. Every time I got passed over or ignored because your sister's going through something. The way they assumed my house, my life, my sanity was just a stopgap for someone else's mess. You didn't ask me to help. You expected it, and that's the problem. My dad opened his mouth, but I kept going. I didn't abandon her. I helped her, just not the way you wanted. I got her housing, a real solution, something she could build from. But instead of appreciating that, you came at me like I kicked her onto the street. My mom finally sat down. Her eyes looked tired, not sad, just older. We were scared, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't want her to feel like a failure. She is a failure, I said. Not cruel, just honest. But now she's owning it, and that's the best thing that's happened to her in years. They didn't fight me on it. They didn't say I was wrong. They just listened. Eventually, my mom asked, "Do you think she'll be okay?" And for the first time, I could say, yeah, because she has to be. That was the shift, the moment where the dynamic finally cracked, where my parents stopped seeing me as the backup plan and started seeing me as someone who wasn't going to carry both their daughters forever. We hugged at the door. It wasn't warm, but it was real. They left quietly, and I finally felt like I'd drawn a line in the sand and didn't step back when the tide rolled in. It's been about 6 weeks since everything cracked wide open. Julianne's still in the transitional apartment. She texted me the other day to say she got a part-time job at a local bakery. Said she likes it. Said it makes her feel normal again. We're not suddenly best friends. We're not doing brunch and selfies, but we've exchanged a few texts. A meme here, a how's it going there, and for once, there's no expectation behind it. No unspoken ask. Just contact. My parents have eased off, a lot actually. They still hover around her situation, but there's a new energy there. Like they've finally realized she's not made of glass and that cushioning her every fall doesn't prevent the impact. It just delays the growth. And me? Honestly, I've never been lighter. There's no secret weight dragging behind my words when I talk to them now. No stress over whether saying no will flip the family dynamic upside down. I made my boundary loud and permanent, and the world didn't end. In fact, it got a whole lot. My house feels like mine again. That office guest room they all kept eyeing like it was unclaimed land, it's now fully reorganized. New rug, new desk, plants, a lock on the door too, because why not? I even started sleeping better. Isn't that wild? Turns out carrying your sister's failed dreams on your back makes your shoulders hurt. Who knew? The biggest surprise? I don't hate Julianne. I thought I would. Thought I'd be stuck in that bitter, tight-chested place forever. But after watching her start to crawl out of the mess on her own, there's something else there now. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not trust, but respect. Because she's doing the one thing she never did before. Trying. And more importantly, I finally did the one thing I never did before. Let go. I let go of being the fixer, the cleanup crew, the unacknowledged support beam of this family. I let them all see that my life isn't a hostel or a waiting room for bad decisions. It's my life. I'm not the villain. I'm not the hero either. I'm just someone who got sick of drowning in being the responsible one. And now I'm breathing again. So here's what I've learned. Setting boundaries might not make you popular. It might piss people off. It might make your mom cry and your sister call you heartless and your relatives gossip behind your back. But eventually, they'll respect the fence. Even if they hate how high you built it. Because when you stop being the net, people finally learn how to land on their own. And that, honestly, is the most love I've ever given. Tell us in the comments, what would you do in her situation and what you don't? We read every comment. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.